Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone in between, Jason, welcome back. Welcome back. Well, not so much as a welcome back as welcome to something a little bit different. I don't say that often, do I? No. So recently, there's been something interesting going on with Rush, right? Like the Forbidden Limited updates have been really small. They haven't really hit any of the best decks or really hit anything too hard at all outside of the most recent list that kind of killed in air quotes the previous version of Psychics. A little slap on the wrist to also Metarion. But the weird thing is that's not enough. There's a ton of decks that have been kind of not even just the top tier, but have just been played so much for multiple formats. Some decks that are still in the top tiers that have been around since middle of 2024, right? So what I did is I put together a little bit of a wish list. So obviously I'm going to present a whole bunch of changes I would like to see. Like I said at the top, they only really do small hits and small changes, and we still have never had a card banned in this Duel Links format for Rush. No bans. I'm not advocating for anything to get banned. I don't think anything's that bad that we'll need to ban something. No. What I'm going to present to you is there are some cards and some decks I think should probably be restricted just to bring the power level of everything down, because we're actually in a pretty diverse metagame. You can go on to the Duel Links meta power rankings. These rankings, they don't rate things based on what's legitimately the top of top tier. What they really do is they just basically use an automated program to take the results from all the community submitted tournaments and put that together and it spits out, okay, based on all the results, here are the top decks. Like Earth Machine has spots on the power rating, right? But it's not like people are bringing Earth Machine to events. It's just like one guy took Earth Machine to an event and topped, so you can't really trust the power rankings to show you what's really the best, because that's aside. That's a different discussion. We're not really talking about Duel Links meta in their tier list. I just want to give a visual example for you guys if you want to go check it out for yourself. Now, so I'm going to present some cards that I think should either be limited or unlimited. There are a whole bunch of cards that should just be unlimited. Really, they don't have a place being on the ban list at all. I picked a couple out because I think they'd be actually a little more interesting if they were unlimited. But there are a whole bunch that I could just go on and on. There are 10 plus cards I could have on this list. I just want to keep it a little concise. And there's going to be the graphic. I'm just recording my camera right now, so I don't know what kind of graphic I'm going to make in post, but I'm going to make a graphic in post to just be easier to follow, so you don't have to just listen to me. If you want to just skip to the end, the graphic will just be filled out for you. I'm not going to do the thing like I do on tier lists, where I make a thumbnail which has the fake list. Whatever. There are also some skills I think should be changed. Not too many. I just think some are really bad, but are the only options for their deck, so they should probably be buffed. And some are a little too strong. I think it would balance them out really well if they had gotten changed or something. So first of all, let's start with cards I think should go to limit 3. To start us off, we gotta take a look at what is really the currently most represented deck right now. You can see it, people complaining online, all on Reddit and on Twitter and all these places, that it's just dragons. It's dragon, rock the dragon. Here's Luke, here's Miragia-Star, here's Dragia-Star, all that good stuff. And I think that there should be a restriction put on this deck. I know it just came out in the most recent deck build box, but I think it's way too strong as its current form. So I would say, no, I'm not saying they should put Miragias back to 3. I think they should put Miragia-Star F to 3. Now, obviously that conflicts with Dragios being at 3. I think moving away from the turbo, just big guy, just punches you a whole bunch, would probably be better for the game overall. As well, I don't really like that the decks just jam both Miragias and Dragias into them. So limiting Miragia Star F to 3 would basically mean that at the very least they'd only play one copy of this guy, which I think is ideal for the format. I don't want to put it at 1 because I don't want it to conflict with other cards that we're playing in Dragons that are currently at 1, like Phoenix Dragon. Like if people want to play Rice Terrace, I think not messing with the limit ones would let them keep those cards, which I think is nice. Having the Dragon players have to like diversify their deck so they're not just like an aggro turbo deck is really what I want to do. Yeah, because they have powerful back row tools like Dragon's Fortitude, but that card doesn't really see crazy play because, you know, aggro is aggro. You usually want to swing hard. And what Miragia Star lets them do is just ignore your monsters, ignore your board. Literally, they just attack you directly for 3k. So it'd be nicer that if you out the 3k guy who fails to OTK you, then you have more of a chance. And of course, you still have to deal with Dragia Star, because I don't think he should be touched at all. Also, putting them down on less Dragias in the deck overall is a nice little consistency hit if they do want to play the Miragia Star stuff. Or maybe it would force them to play something a little more pure, or it could be something like Miragias plus the Star Dragon or the Pile Bunker or something like that, you know. Anyway, the next card I think should go to 3. Imaginary Reactor. I cannot believe that after Metarion kind of dominated for a while, they just, like I said, slap down the wrist. Just a little slap on the wrist. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, I'm saying Imaginary Reactor should go to 3. This will make it so it conflicts with Star Restart, so they can't just, you know, have their only limit 3 be Star Restart. I don't want to touch any of the fusions. I think the fusions usually go even in the extra deck anyway, so it's like 2/2/2. I don't really want to mess with that. There are other cards that are limited that I don't want to mess with. I don't want to mess with their ability to play Negate Attack. I think it's fine that they can play Negate Attack. But specifically, I think they should not be able to max out on both Reactor and Star Restart. That's the big reason why I think this is it. I don't have as deep as a idea behind this, but it needs something. There needs to be some kind of hit to Metarion. Next up, I also want to put Void Vel Cataphract to 3. I know they put Star Transfer to 3, which was only a hit to specifically the version of Dark Galaxy that played triple Ghost Cyclone, which I never saw. I thought it sounded interesting, and before I could even try it, the ban list dropped. But I think having them actually have to make deck building choices and not just max out on their good cards would be nice. Cataphract is really good, and it something I don't want them to hit the bosses and your targets for your skill. I just want to be a slight consistency hit, and Cataphract also is a really good combo with Star Transfer. So I figured, oh well, if it's harder to pull off that little combo, then it will definitely bring the power level of the deck down. I don't want to put any limits on any of the normal guys. I think we would be way too far gone if any of the normal guys from Light Galaxy or Dark Galaxy. There's also, here's another strange one. It sounds strange. I think Ancient Gear Golem should go to 3. So, you may be thinking, well, hold on. This card's a legend. What is it going to 3 mean? Well, obviously you play Duel Links, so you should understand the point of the ban list. Negate Attack being at 2 was probably one of the best moves for a ban list they've done. It really balances out some decks based on if they can play Negate Attack. So I think doing the same with Ancient Gear Golem would be pretty nice. A lot of decks just jam this guy into their deck when they don't have any kind of limit on what kind of monsters they can play. So I think to really stop these weird aggro decks that kind of drop like Star Restart and Secret Order and just big guys and or whatever generic fusion things they want to play, taking these decks and kind of like stopping them, or at least managing them a little bit by making them have to choose between if they want to actually play Ancient Gear Golem. Also, this is a Cyber Dragon hit, because then if Ancient Gear Golem's at 3, they can't play 3 Cyber Dragon. Speaking of hitting Cyber Dragon, limit 2s. So that was all the limit 3s I had come up with. I don't want to go crazy. Like I said, this isn't really what I think should happen. These are just kind of like, in a future ban list, I would like to see any combination of the hits I'm presenting. So, like I said, the 2s. I think a card that should go limit 2 is Cyber Twin Dragon. I really dislike Cyber Dragon. I think it's been way overplayed. I understand it's really good for new players to have, but at the same time, I am sick of seeing Cyber Dragon all the time. I'm so sick of seeing it. I'm tired of Cyber Dragon all the time on ladder. It's time to go. It's time to move on. But I don't want to just say, okay, let's kill the deck. No. So what putting Cyber Twin Dragon to 2 would do is basically it would put them on the, oh, we can't play negate attack bandwagon along with a bunch of other decks. Or what it would do is say, oh, I can only play one Cyber Twin Dragon now. So maybe it would force them to try and play Cyber End more. Maybe it would force them to try to play more plays in their main deck, doing other things like that. Or it would just mean, you know, one Cyber Twin and then negate attack. You know, maybe that would force them to play more things that cycle things back into their deck. Something like Pot of Avarice, you know, maybe force them to have to Avarice the Cyber Twin back so they can, you know, activate more than one copy. Yeah, sounds good to me. That's my idea. Sounds good to me. Another thing I think it should go to is Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed is so good. You can see the video I uploaded last week where I talked about how dumb I felt thinking that Pot of Greed would be worse than Avarice in this game. Completely wrong. I just, you can watch the video. There's probably the thumbnail up on the screen right now. Just go watch that video if you want to hear me talk more about Pot of Greed. I think it should go to 2. I just think it should conflict with the other, like, you always put these cards into your deck staples. I do understand it just came out, so this isn't going to be a hit that could happen anytime soon because they would not hit this card soon. It's not really that big of a problem. I think it would be a nice step down in power level for the game overall. Another step down in power level, I think we should put Triad Drago to 2. This is a weird one. So this isn't really that impactful of a hit. I just want to put the limit 2, kind of the song and dance of limit 2s onto the Dragios decks, onto the Dragon Fusion decks, you know? They're just kind of like forcing them to go, oh, do I really want to play Triad? I can only play like one if I want to keep negate attack. Or maybe this forces them into playing Widespread if they want to keep all 3 Triad Dragos in their deck. And then another card I think should go to 2 is Meteor Charge. That's the Light Galaxy card that pierces. It's again, this is another hit that I'm thinking that, okay, this kind of forces them, a Light Galaxy player, to go, do I want both my Meteor Charges or do I want to play negate attack? That's basically the idea behind it. Because Light Galaxy, yes, Secret Order's at 3, but that's more of a hit to every other deck than it is to Light Galaxy, if we're being real. So I think hitting them with that might be a little nice. Those are all my ideas for limit 2s. Like I said, I'm probably gonna repeat myself every time since this is mostly off the dome. I'm not saying all these hits should happen. I just think that some of these would really help the game. Limit 1s, okay. First up, Yamitarasu. Yamitarasu is currently limit 3. I think we should move away from the limit 3s on the warrior deck and instead just make it a little bit more difficult to do things more than once after things get outed. What that means is I think they should have Star Restart back. I think they should have, you know, Yami Ruler back. We'll get into that when I get to the unlimits. But putting Yamitarasu to 1 makes it conflict with some of the trap cards that have been put to 1 for no reason. And it also removes that from the limit 3 pool, so warriors won't have anything conflicting with any of their other tools. I also think Yamitarasu can be very problematic if this deck becomes good, so I would hope that it being at 1 would just mean, okay, we just out the Yamitarasu, we just out the Yamaterasu, and then it's kind of stuck in grave until they do something like Avarice or something like Talisman Accelerate to kind of get him back. Also the one, I think Imaginary Arc Turbo should go to 1. It's obviously only played at 1. I honestly can't even remember off the dome if you can even receive more than 1. I'm pretty sure you can. I think it's in a box or something. But I feel like it's only ever going to be played at 1. It's only searchable once per duel, if I remember right. So I think there's no problem with it going to 1, and would, again, force Materion to not be able to play very specific tools that other decks can get access to, or it would force them to play like the Fusion Deal version of Materion, which, while still good, isn't necessarily on the same level as the Materion script version of the deck. Another card I think should go to 1, Cyber Entry. Hey, I'm not done hitting Cyber Dragon yet. I don't think Cyber Dragon should get access to 9 Cyber Dragons. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I think Cyber Entry is an absurd card to even be printed wave 1 of a card support. So I think it should go to 1. The same reason with the other ones. Make it so they lose access to these tools that weaker decks can play instead. And that's it for the limits overall. Now I've got a couple unlimits here. They're not a lot of... It's a lot of cleanup. It's a lot of things that shouldn't be limited at all, that I think should just, be set free. There's no problem. First up, Dragon's Fortitude. Like I said before, I do want Dragons to be kind of forced into playing more of a back row kind of focus. I kind of want them to have to play a different game style, and putting Fortitude to 3 could really influence that. They put the Fortitude Dragon to 3, so I think 3 Dragon's Fortitude would also help out, kind of getting them to a different style of gameplay. Next up, Yami Ruler. So I was talking about Yamaterasu going to 1 instead of being at 3. So I think Yami Ruler himself should be unlimited. I don't really like that the hits they've done to Warriors just kind of like slaughter the deck, right? And I understand that if the Floodgate deck was really strong, the game probably wouldn't be in that great of a spot. People would be complaining, and then Yami Ruler or Yamaterasu would just be banned. They'd probably be the first banned cards if this deck actually did anything. But I don't like how many of these Warrior cards they put limit 3. I don't think Yami Ruler should be what conflicts with Star Restart. If you want there to be some kind of limitation on Warriors in that way, I think you should probably find a different card rather than Yami Ruler. And it shouldn't be Yamaterasu, like I said before, because it's not the same. It's not the same having the boss monster versus the like material for it, Another card that I think should go to unlimited because it's bad is Mismatch Rivalry. I think this card sucks. I think there's no reason for it to be limited. I think they just hate trap cards. So unlimited because it does not matter. It will not see play no matter what. Now this next element, it's a little strange because they've seemingly done this thing where every single maximum monster, the middle piece is always put to limit 3. But I think it's fine for all these max monsters to be put to unlimited. I chose Harpy Lady Sisters to kind of be the representative here because that was just the first deck that came to mind where I think this deck could still be a little bit relevant if it just wasn't hit at all. And then I also started thinking, like, what would they even add to the deck if they unlimited Harpy Lady Sisters? I said, Ghost Cyclone? That sounds good enough. So yeah, I'd say unlimited Harpy Lady Sisters and all the other max monsters. Maybe not like the Worm one, just so they can't play it along with all the other Worm cards. But the new Worm cards don't really combo with the max monster at all, do they? I don't know. Maybe Max Overload would be pretty strong if it got unlimited. And then my last card is a little bit of a buffed Psychic. I know, boo boo, tomato, tomato, tomato. I think Magical Miracle can go to unlimited. It plays worse into Rice Terrace. Again, I'm bringing up Rice Terrace. I think Rice Terrace is one of the best cards in the game. But yeah, this plays worse into Rice Terrace with the deck. And also, would they even play this card if it was unlimited, right? Because they just have Candy Live, who basically does the same thing. It's the reason I think we should unlimit Magical Miracle is because it is a buff to not the fusion version of Psychics. I think it would be pretty good for the non-fusion version. The decks that want to play like Esperade and want to do things like the canned melody, like bouncing things and stuff like that. The previous version of Psychics that was just playing the skill that like modulated the Psychic monsters on field's levels, and then like could like Rhoda if you change Candy's level. I think this going to 3 would bring that version of the deck back, which was very fine. It was like a tier 3 deck at best back then. Anyway, so that's it for the cards overall. There are so many more I could go over that I think should be unlimited, but then this video would just be an hour plus long, and that's not what I'm trying to do here. So there are some skills. I got 4 skills here that I think 2 should be buffed that won't make any kind of like real change to the game, but could still be buffed because they're, you know, a little on the their decks are unplayable. So might as well give them a little something. And then 2 I think should be nerfed because they're just way too overtuned and they're not future proofed at all. So first off, a buff. I think Lightning Trigger should be buffed. I just think Lightning Trigger should be able to activate if you summon Hands Ray Desleo. That's it. I just think that like maybe get rid of the restriction on what level or not the level, what defense stat the Thunder monster has, because Thunder kind of stinks, you know? And I understand that we're pretty much just playing with like Thunder free agents right now, and there are like real Thunder decks later, but they're not going to play Lightning Trigger, so what's the problem? Let the Thunder free agents kind of roam a little bit, right? Now, for a nerf, I think Infinite D Live should probably get nerfed. It's not the second part of the skill. The second part of the skill is actually tuned pretty well, although it does just add literally whatever the fuck you want once per duel. I think the problem is the first part of the skill, where it can foolish anything with the psychic stats as many turns as you want. Just once per turn, do whatever the hell you want. Send whatever. I don't think you should be able to do that forever. Like, they released the new high-tech dragon skills, and that's got once or twice per duel put on it. Why would does a tier 2 deck get that kind of restriction, and then Psychic just says, okay, you get Foolish Burial for all your monsters, you know, every single turn. I just don't get it. I think it should be changed. Another nerf here. I think Cybernetic customization should be nerfed. I just think, specifically, I think the attack boost should just be 100 lower, just so the OG Cyber Dragons trade with a boss monster, because a lot of boss monsters have like 2500. So I think they should just trade with boss monsters instead of being able to clear them. You know, make the Cyber Dragon player have to go into their boss monster, or like actually invest in a big play in order to out your boss monster. You know, boss monsters should be fighting boss monsters, not boss monsters should be getting outed by the materials, you know. And then the last skill I think should be changed. I think Noodle Heart Reboot should just be like not changed back where it was on as many times as possible, because I know people have some like Noodle Ninja trauma. But I think maybe they should just, you know, maybe like a couple more times per duel, you know, a couple more, or maybe make it a little bit harder to use. Maybe make it so they can only get back a more specific monster, you know, something like that. I just think it's, you know, it's not good enough to be once per duel, is what I'm saying. It's too good to be unlimited times per duel, but not good enough to be once per. Anyway, so that's it for my list. You know, obviously this isn't based on, you know, what I think they're going to do. This is vibe based. It's based on what I think would make the game better. But if there is something you think would make the game better, why don't you leave that in the comments below? Why don't you tell me if you think my list sucks down there in the comments too? Or if you just want to glaze the shit out of me, go ahead, do that down in the comments below. Just tell me how great I am, you know, how smart I am, how cool, how you think I deserve hundreds of thousands of subscribers to this channel so I can do this for a living. I don't get paid to do this. This is a hobby, you know. I'm just doing this for fun. People do these kinds of videos for money. I'm just doing it for fun. I'm a freak. I spend tens of hours, tens of hours. I spend like hundreds of hours, editing a month. And then it's just like, yeah, man, that's my hobby. A normal person would think I'm goddamn insane for doing this. Anyway, so I need to take some time to edit this. Like I said, this is my hobby. I don't pay an editor for my hobby. So I am going to sign off here. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Comment down below. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.